you directly confronted with the perpetrators. That's one thing I noticed. It is easier to get victims into it, but for a filmmaker to get the perpetrators and so closely and interact and confront is a very courageous thing, and you did that. I noticed it from your earlier films.
I think I just got very upset. That's why. Because, and also, it can only happen when I'm shooting with two cameras. So the second camera, I mean, normally I'm never in my own film, at least visually. I mean, voice is always there, but visually because I'm shooting alone. But with the second camera, I sometimes get into the shot.
That's why you used it also.
Huh? I didn't do it deliberately. We were in the middle of a fight, so the other camera picked up.
And also, you did not bring nicely also the big stalwarts of Hindu people. But the concept was there and it was clearly presented. But these big guys, slightly you got Narendra Modi, Saha, and even Advani and others. We did not bring much to them, but how they have.
There was no need.
No
because
data.
There's no need. I mean, Advani, of course, is not in the picture. He is now uncle. But it's
grand old man.
Yeah, and but Amit Shah is definitely there, and he is one of the key people in the. So, and Thakres are there. So it's what the film is showing you is that it's a wide admits it. I mean, rank and file would like to. I mean, and then the ones who are a little smarter, they'll make a difference between Hindu Mahasabha and RSS. But it's the same ideology, they just add organizational differences, not ideological differences. You can switch off the projector. Yeah, why don't we switch it?
That's two things actually I noticed. Obviously, all your films, there is a lot of research and the materials you collect, even in the Fathers and Oliver, the Varantis more. And this one also, I like to Varantis. A lot of research materials you have brought and gave it here. And you use the archives very, that's a good thing actually, and corroborating the situation.
Yeah, because I want to bring out that this is not something that's happening today. It's been planned for 150 years. Yeah. That's okay. I can sit here.
Anand, thanks for getting the film here. And I think there are a couple of observations. But what I like about this film is this entire categories and concepts that were delineated over a span of time, 150 years, that holds. And I think it's very important. There's still oppression. And I think one of the things that Kanhaiya talks about, Bhukmari se azadi, the socialist dream, we don't even talk about it. It's about something else now, and you're just spun by the system for all kinds of things. Every other day, there is something or the other. But I think this is very important because it focuses on how certain categories and concepts are created and it's going on in the superstructure.
Yeah, I mean, one good thing that has happened in the last 4 years is that the Congress has realized that just by running after the crony capital is out of their reach. They have gone fully to the BJP and right wing. So Congress doesn't have money anymore. And so now they actually realize that the actual base that they can appeal to is actually the working class and actually the poor. So I don't know how long that will last, but at this moment, they seem to have realized that. At least some people have realized.
Hi sir. So I'm from Mumbai. I recently shifted in. So what I'm trying to say is this movie really touched me. I was in many events in this movie. I have almost like been there and witnessed it, and the threat was there when Mumbai attacks happened, and I know people who were constables and who used to live with us, and they were in that space, and the Marathawada, the agitation that happened, and many things that happened around Maharashtra. So I could actually, relate with many of the things. Saying that, I want to know the general reactions, what people had after the public reactions after seeing this movie that people had in other parts of the world and India itself.
Let us find out from this room. Why should we?
No, I'm very much curious how many people have seen it, and I feel this urge that many people need to see this
Yeah,
movie.
many people need to see it, but it's not an easy film to show for many reasons. One is the political situation. The other is that it's 4 hours long. This room was almost double the audience that is there now. So in that 4 hours, we already lost like 30%, which actually shouldn't happen. It's partly because we were a little bit, even when we announced this film for this screening, it was not very clear what it is and how long it is and all. So I think people were not even prepared that they're going to watch a 4-hour film. So that's the other thing, that there are multiple problems that a film like this faces. So one is the attention span that has happened. That is the dumbing down that has happened across the world. It's not just India. Dumbing down has happened through how people consume information. I mean, information has to be in the form of entertainment. And so if it's not in the form of entertainment, there's too much resistance to it. We have to create an audience that considers that this is worthwhile to do, to actually sit for 4 hours and watch a film, which is not necessarily going to, make you dance or.
It is because you have done it, and in your previous films also you have that practice. That's why it is your name actually is bringing first. Then obviously the film is very much touchy. That is true, but you have name.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that people have to.
Jai Hind, comrade.
And I think that I'm saying this to all the teachers here, all the people who are professors and who are especially teaching film and teaching the use of film, not necessarily to make people into filmmakers, but at least to make people into film watchers. That means training also, and that training has been forgotten. So that's one thing. The other thing is that there's a lot of resistance to hearing stuff that you don't really want to hear because it doesn't make you comfortable. So even, I had 4 or 5 reviews because this film was shown in Canada and the Indian press had come there. So they're pretty good reviews, but the one story that they didn't cover, or they covered, or they said they didn't really believe it, is the Karkare story. Everything else they were happy with, but the Karkare story, there's a tremendous amount of resistance to accepting that this is a possibility. I'm only saying at least keep your mind open to that. This is. I've read the material. I've read 2 books. There's actually a 3rd book also, which you can't read those books and come away thinking that you were told the truth by the government. Definitely, there are all kinds of lies that have been told. Whether it all adds up exactly in the same way that Musharraf is saying, that we can keep open-minded about. But there's no doubt that there have been lies that are told. There are things that I didn't keep in the film because the film would have become too heavy in terms of one subject. There are chapters and I didn't have time to put more detail. But there are things like the cell phone that Karkare is using on the day that he's being sent out where he dies. The court didn't even requisition the cell phone. Who is he talking to? Who is sending him there? Who has brought him to the spot? Who has sent him further? He's talking on the phone all the time. But the court didn't bother to find out where's that phone and what does it say. All kinds of things like that. No.
I was expecting Kakkar's wife also because she has.
Kakkar's wife died. She died a couple of years ago. But one thing she did is that Modi offered her 2 crores as compensation later, while he was not even in power as Gujarat Chief Minister. He offered 2 crores to Karkare's wife. Basically, he must have been feeling somewhat guilty about what had happened. Or he wanted to show that he's on their side, but she refused to take it. She said, I know all about this.
Thank you, sir, for this energetic movie which energizes us, because we learn how to unlearn some things. And my question is, how do you approach when you visit a victim's family? Because so many of the reporters regularly visit them, ask the same questions, and ask their reviews. So, what do you notice? Do they really need the empathy or sympathy? And another question from mine is,
Before that, you try to answer that yourself, because I'd be curious to. You saw the film just now.
yes, sir.
So you saw how, say a clerk's son, Sartaj, the person who speaks, who is in the Air Force. Did you see him as a victim? I mean, he's obviously a victim. His father has been murdered by a mob. But the thing is that what came across was tremendous amount of dignity and tremendous amount of courage and forgiveness. He says that I'm happy to be born in India. After all that, is shocking what he says.
Okay.
Last film was the Jai Bhim Comrade, which I saw long time back at Civil Fort, and this is the second. And the entire film in Jai Bhim Comrade, that was a long journey, people, women, gender, how people of low caste are struggling, garbage area, that takes us and the Ambedkar movement, and then there's a time that people also forget what their forefathers did. And now, because some friends of mine who are pro-RSS and all, they have talked about like Kandahar, Afghanistan to this thing, and the entire connection here when you show actually, and when you talk to them that all this about the Hindutva and all, they're very arrogant. So this very much shows clearly when you're talking against RSS or against Modi, so they're extremely arrogant. They don't want to listen. They don't want to listen the truth, the fact, whatever, even if you want to tell them. So that I can see like how there's a division between the higher caste and the lower caste, and there is an arrogance, and they don't want to listen. They just want to talk about a Hindutva, and nationality is just like a showcase what they're showing.
And as those 3 Dalit kids who resigned from ABVP,
Yes.
as they said, it's not that RSS and people don't have any Dalits.
Yes.
They have, but they are always trying to educate them, saying that you don't worry about your caste identity. We are all Indians.
Yes.
So we are all Indians is very nice to say when you are upper caste.
Yes.
But when you are not, then to deny people of working class and so-called lower castes from the right to have identity, I mean, as an oppressed caste,
Yes.
to deny them that, it's not nationalism, it's just a denial, it's just a whitewashing.
It also looks like a fight between maybe the Brahminism and the low caste, or maybe the high caste and the low caste.
Yeah, I mean, basically that is what Hindutva is. Hindutva is nothing but Brahminism's new form. And but that doesn't mean that they don't have people of other castes in it. Everybody they manage, but the leadership is in there. If you noticed, there's a parallel almost that even when I start the sequence on the about Rohit Vemula, the Sankanna, who's the PhD scholar who also got suspended. He starts by saying that in the left parties we are there, we are always in the left parties, but we are not in leadership. And the same, the ABVP guys is saying the same thing, that ABVP also we are there, we are not in leadership.
It was a wonderful film and I really enjoyed, glued to my seat. I didn't even get, and I didn't go out also. I went till the intermission only. It was the entire journey I captured right from 150 years of this conspiracy theory which you brought up. I just like to add one thing, like Mahatma Gandhi himself, who coined the term Harijan, he never actually went strong against Brahminical order. I mean, if you look at somewhere he downplayed it, isn't it?
I'm glad you brought that out, because I think that is the propaganda that has been done by, amongst the people who now, it's not fashionable to be pro-Gandhi or to think well of Gandhi, especially after Arundhati Roy's book, but not only Arundhati Roy, but within partly Ambedkar himself started that critique. But if you actually look at it in a historical sense, tell me one other upper caste Indian who cleaned his own toilet 100 years ago. He broke the taboo that is at the heart of the caste system, which is purity. Upper caste has to have purity. If you touch shit, you have lost your caste. You have completely decasted yourself by doing manual scavenging, which is only Dalits are supposed to do it. When Gandhi did that, and he did that long, because one thing about Gandhi is that whatever he preached, he practiced. When he did that and he made his own family do that and he made his own followers do that, clean their own scavenging, not only their own but other people's also. You could go to a village and start cleaning. When this Swachh Bharat was Gandhi did the actual cleaning, not some photo op that is done by Amitabh Bachchan and Modi and all that with the jhadu and a little bit of leaves that are thrown so that he can clean it for TV. So, point is that at that moment, that was the most revolutionary act of an Indian against the caste system. So how on earth can we say that he didn't do it? Because he's the one person who did it. And then, if you look at, and I bring this out in this film also, I don't know if people got it or not, but the myth today is that Gandhi was killed because he was pro-Muslim. That's what everybody, RSS wants us all to think that. But they tried 7 times to kill him, and they first started in 1934 before Pakistan was thought about. There was no concept of Pakistan, so it's not Muslims. The only reason in 1934 is caste. Because he was seen as an anti-Brahmin. And 1932, he and Ambedkar made the Pune Pact, which is where reservation policy for Dalits began. So the compromise, Ambedkar was asking for separate electorates, and Gandhi begged him, saying that if you do separate electorates, it will divide the nation. And so, give us time, give the upper caste, give caste Hindus time to change. And I promise that I will manage to convert upper caste and get rid of untouchability. That was the compromise that did it, and the compromise was that reservations would be there. And if you look at Ambedkar's own statement in 1932, Ambedkar has high praise for Gandhi at that moment in time. Ambedkar says that I expected that Gandhi would be like he was at the Round Table Conference that was in Britain when they were arguing about separate electorates. But when this Pune Pact was done, Ambedkar says that I was shocked that he was on our side and he was arguing on our behalf more than we were asking for the seats he was giving. So, and at that time, in the same newspaper that I show in the film, but of course it's in the smaller print, so it's on the side articles, you see that not only has the Pune Pact happened, but temples are being thrown open to Dalits, wells are being reopened, not reopened. First time that wells are being allowed in well, because there was a movement that for a brief period, there was an actual movement for people to start, Indians to start getting rid of the caste system, at least untouchability, which is the worst element of it. And of course, later on, Ambedkar heavily criticized Gandhi, he even wrote a book about how Congress and Gandhi have betrayed the Dalits. But that book was written in 8 years later. And what happened in that 8 years that Gandhi failed to get the rest of India to get rid of their caste mentality. That untouchability failed. Not for want of trying. Gandhi was so disgusted that he left the Congress party. Please do your research and find out in that period, on the issue of this caste business, Gandhi resigned from the Congress party.
And one more thing I just wanted to ask you is like.
And then the other thing is
that
people quote. Everybody writes about how. Gandhi made a lot of stupid statements throughout his life, especially in the earlier part, because he came from a conservative background. If you look at earlier Gandhi, he says a lot of silly things, and you are right that he was against untouchability, but he thought that Varnashram we should not get rid of entire caste system, because he was trying to go step by step. He thought that if we ask for all caste to be removed right away, people will not follow it. People will not do it. So he said, let's attack untouchability first. But later on, towards the end of his life, he had changed quite a lot, mainly through contact with Ambedkar. By the end of his life, he announced that he didn't go to any intercaste, any marriage which was not an intercaste marriage. His own secretary, I think he married in Oriya. Yeah. So he didn't go to the wedding because it was not an intercaste wedding. And people very close to him, he would only go to he would only attend intercaste marriage. And even when Ambedkar, after Gandhi died, and Ambedkar got married to a Brahmin, second marriage, Ambedkar said if Gandhi had been alive, he would have been very happy to see. I am doing an intercaste marriage.
One more thing I just wanted to point out is about the Intelligence Bureau you talked about. You showed in reference to who killed Karkare. And now, what is alarming is that was a conspiracy, is it not? It's the central government. The Bombay police were not informed about it. They were in dark, because when the attack took place in front of Taj, simultaneously the attack was going on in 8 different places. So it's a conspiracy, is it not?
Of course, it couldn't be otherwise. It's a conspiracy, but you have to understand the mechanism of it. It's not that the Pakistanis didn't attack. The Pakistanis attacked the hotels in South Bombay. Not just Taj, Trident, and even that little hotel, what's it called? Leopold, and the Jewish place. So all that is done by these Pakistanis. Imagine there are just 8 people in there, and you are expecting that everything that they did was done by these 8 people. No, it's not. No, but what? The Americans had already given us intelligence. The Americans had already warned the RAW that a Pakistani boat has left to attack the hotels. And they had given the coordinates of those boats. They could track them. But that information was not passed on to the Coast Guard and to the Indian Navy that could have intercepted that boat. Because they didn't mind that, they gave that information to their gang, who then sat in wait and then sent Karkare into the trap. So this is, if you want to believe, this is the conspiracy theory. Whether you believe it or not is up to you. But I think that is very plausible. Not only this is plausible, but the fact that there was international connivance in all this. You see when Salyan is talking, she points out that Israel had been caught. These terror gang had contacted Israel, had contacted Thailand, had contacted Nepal, and everyone was promising some help. And then if you remember, this is not part of this film, because it would have again made it long. What about David Headley? The guy with one blue eye and one black eye. He's half Pakistani, half American. And he's sitting in America right now. The Indian government doesn't have the guts to extradite him here and then question him. They're just allowing the Americans to keep him there. Why? Why isn't David Headley brought back to India to tell us the truth about what happened? He did all the recce. Yeah. He came and lived here in Mumbai for months. Taking photographs and the Taj planning and all that is on record. But then he disappears and we don't ask him back. The only time when we contact him is when they are trying to make Ishrat Jahan, who was a young Muslim woman from Mumbai, who got encountered in Gujarat. They used David Headley to say that she's a terrorist. Yeah. And there was no evidence at all. She was just killed along with, they killed, not Sohrabuddin. They killed 25 people. Every one of those attacks was supposed to be that this gang was going to kill Modi. So all this story is that somebody is trying to kill Modi. Somebody is trying to kill Modi seems to be their favorite theme. They're using it again now. Yes. These urban Naxals are also supposed to have written a letter on paper in this day and age, internet ka zamana. But these Naxalites are writing handwritten notes that let's go kill Modi. There's a very good film made by a friend who passed away, Shubhradeep Chakravarti. He made a film called Encounters, Saffron Encounters of the Saffron Kind, which is about these killings in Gujarat of Ishrat Jahan and those people. The angle by which the bullets have hit show that they were massacred like that in point blank, top down. It couldn't have been the firing on the side.
They have stopped the car, pulled out and
shot them like that, point blank.
It's not a question but an observation. It's a very significant movie at this particular point of time, before elections. And what do you want to do with this film?
I obviously want everybody to see it, but how I'm going to do that is I don't know yet. But
this will change the entire perception of the nation.
Yeah. So the obvious thing, the only place it can actually reach a lot of people is through the internet. It can't. This kind of thing is not enough. Few 50, 100 people at a time. 4-hour film. I'll be doing it non-stop for a tiny number of people. The only way to reach a large number of people will be and that everybody can help, that once I put it on the internet, you have to make it viral.
When are you planning to do it?
All that I can't tell you now.
We'll take one last question from you, and I think we should wrap up. It's a little late. One last. You can take that question with him outside.
Thank you, sir, for your very journalistic documentation. There is a footage where you are present, and somebody says about breaking your bone or something. So, is it resolved with that one, or once the program was over or outside also something kind of threatening or something that happened?
No, that fight continued a little longer than what you see in the film, because then they tried to throw me out of the room because they said you're not a journalist. So I said, how can you say I'm not a journalist? I'm here with the camera, I'm recording. There's a lot of TV cameras here, you're allowing them to do it. And I said, anyway, I'm not going. So I stayed put. I said, if you don't want to talk, you don't talk. Then you don't talk to anybody. So then, that the one good thing that they threatened me, and it's on record, is that it's become more problematic for them. So actually, when they want to really do something, they don't give advance warning.